Welcome to the Mom and Around podcast. I'm your host, Liz Mercedes, and this is a podcast by a mom, that's me, for moms, that's you. Today I was supposed to have Nick on the podcast, but honestly, it's been a really tough couple weeks. I mean, we have a mess back here. We're in the middle of packing. We have a teething baby. And there's just a million things going on. And I was like, you know what? I can't wait for him to record this episode. I'm actually recording the episode on the same day that it goes live because I just didn't have time to do it. I feel like with Kala teething, she like constantly needs to be attached to me, which has been really tough. I'm great. I'm like happy that I'm a comfort for her, but it's just like a lot. So all day, like I try to get stuff done and I can't. Her first nap, she'll usually go down for a nap, but then after that, she usually needs contact naps because I guess her teeth are bothering her, which she hasn't had contact naps in a little bit. So I like really can't even get things done while she's napping, which has been it's just been a lot. It's been a little frustrating if I'm being honest. Like I know contact naps are so fleeting and like I'm getting like them again, so I should be happy about it, but it just comes at a time where I'm literally trying to pack everything and get things done and kind of like take the burden off Nick since he's at work all day and I don't really get to do that. So today when I got up, I just got going, which usually I like to do like a slow morning, drink my coffee, and this morning, like I just woke up and I started getting things done because what I tend to do is I say I'll do it during her nap. And then I don't do it during her nap because I'm holding her whole nap. If I look down, it's because I'm checking her, making sure she's okay. And then when I when she's, awake, I can't do it because she just wants me to hold her or like be attached to me. So I can't even like walk away from her. She won't even go in her little bouncer anymore that she was like obsessed with for a while. And then at night I'm exhausted because I've been dealing with that all day and I'm like, I can't like bring myself to do it at night. Like I'll do like one thing, but I won't do everything like I wanted to do during the day. Rightfully so at night, right? Because now Nick's home, I want to chill with him. I want to just like veg for a little bit and kind of like unwind from the day, especially because like it's just a lot. So I've been struggling with that. I've been struggling with that productivity and like how to overcome that because I just feel like there should be so much more independence at 8 months. And I know like we're going through like a phase and it's going to all get better, but it's just been a struggle. But I just wanted to come on here. I'm doing a solo episode. I have a ton of episodes ready to release, but I just wanted to do a solo episode. Well, I actually want to do an episode with Nick, but I didn't get to, about like just like the early parts of motherhood, how it changes you, and also talk about moving and why we're moving and how that decision like came to be. So thank you for listening to my rant about moving and how frustrating it's being. And let's get into some of the stuff that I kind of wanted to talk about. So first of all, we're moving back to New Jersey and I've mentioned it like here and there kind of everywhere. But I don't think I officially like explained what happened. So basically we want to raise Kala around family, which, obviously makes sense. I feel like most people want to raise their babies around family. I have a lot of anxiety and I've been really open about that, about just everything that has to do with her. And so I don't really feel comfortable leaving her with literally anyone but our parents, like not like a nanny, not like a daycare. And so I was trying to look for like work from home jobs and it was really a struggle and I couldn't really find anything, which, would have been fine. But I have also been open about the fact that I'm just kind of going a little insane just being by myself all day, every day. And so I think that this will be good when we go back. I do have plans to go back to work. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and I think I still do. I just need to like dip my toes into the workforce and see how I feel about going back and then kind of make my decision. I feel like I need all the information, and then just kind of go from there. But to be quite frank, when I was pregnant, neither one of us had jobs. We had moved here. Nick was going to start his company, and we we're going to work together to kind of get this company off the ground. A lot of things happened with his company and it just didn't go as we planned at all. unfortunately. So I really needed insurance. I was going on interviews like 7, 8 months pregnant, which wasn't fun. And I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? But I did it because I needed insurance and, someone needed a job, although I would have had to go on maternity leave at some point. I don't really know what I was thinking. I just felt like, when things aren't going perfect, I just go into things and I'm like, okay, it'll work out in the end. I ended up not getting a job, which obviously was a blessing because I couldn't work because I would have been having a baby, but whatever. And Nick ended up getting 2 job offers. So one job offer was less than the other job offer, and he really didn't want the one that was more because he didn't want to do that. So he ended up, I said, yeah, like, this has always been me. I'm like, yeah, go for your dreams. Like, I'm never going to tell you no. Like, go for it. Take the lesser job. And then I realized that with a baby, like, I shouldn't have said that. I should have made him go for the one that he didn't technically want, because we needed that money for the baby. And so what ended up happening is we did have a couple months of financial struggle, which is like, oh, I don't even like to talk about it, but I think it's like really important to talk about. And then I was the adult and I'm like, okay, like, we need to figure something out. So let's do something about this. And then actually I let that happen. Like, I just said, like, what's the plan? What's the plan for like a couple months, I feel like, even. And then finally I was like, listen, we're moving back. It's going to be fine. You're going to get a job. I'm going to get a job. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be okay. But we need to like be adults and get our ducks in a row. Which brings me to my second topic, newborn phase. I feel like, I don't think I've ever talked about this on here, but my personality completely changed after having a baby. And I know that's very normal, but it was something that I could have never predicted. And I know that it was really difficult for Nick, and I wanted him on to kind of talk about that. But basically, before having a baby, I was so go with the flow. And I was so like, whatever works. Like I said, like, go for your dreams, like, do what you got to do. Like, not really, I would think like everything's going to work out for us. So it doesn't matter. And I still 100% feel like everything's going to work out for us. But I'm a little bit more cautious when it comes to making decisions because now it's not only us that the decisions affect, but her as well. And so, and I always said, like, I don't want to cut corners when it comes to her. I'm happy to cut corners when it comes to us, but when it comes to her, like, I don't want to cut corners, and not in like her clothes or whatever. Like, that's fine. Like, I don't care about any of that. She's cute no matter what. But I'm saying, like, I wanted to make sure she did music, she did swim, she did gymnastics. And like, it's like, why? Well, she's not interacting with kids really, and so, like, she doesn't go to daycare or anything, and so, like, I want to get her out. I want her to be less shy. She's with me all day every day, and like, I saw a difference in her. My mom was here until November, and then my mom left, and then we were around people in December. And at first she was like skeptical about other people because she was only with me all day, every day. And then when we came back end of January, beginning of February, I enrolled her in all 3 things because I was like, she needs to get out. She needs to get social. She needs to be used to people. And so that was my, like, I'm not cutting corners, like, non-negotiable there. So yeah, so my point was, I completely changed. I became way more type A. This is killing me. Like, seeing this in the background is actually like killing me. I was way less go with the flow. Like, I need a plan all the time. I was naggy. And I don't know if that's like a bad thing. Like, I think me and Nick, like, needed an adult in the relationship because we're both so like free spirited and go with the flow and everything will work out. And while that worked for a while, when you're a parent, I think you need an adult in the relationship. So I became the adult, which at first frustrated, I think, both of us. Like, I didn't want to be the way I was. I liked being, worry free, go with the flow. And now I had all this anxiety and I needed plans and I needed things to work out. And I was really struggling with it. And he was really struggling with it because he felt like, where's his wife? And I think that makes sense. Like, now he's getting like bossed around and everything's kind of changed a little bit. And so it was a lot on both of us and our relationship. And I think that it took us a while to kind of settle in and to realize that neither one of us are reacting with bad intentions. For him, it was just he's trying to get used to everything and he's trying to figure it out. And he's also trying to set boundaries where he doesn't feel comfortable. And for me, it was, for him understanding me, it was like, this is, this needs to happen, first of all, but also it's a lot of hormones and there's like a lot going on, and you need to have more patience than you normally would, and eventually like we'll come back together. And now, she officially turned 8 months this week, and I feel like we finally have come back together and really felt like a team. And I do think a lot of that has to do with like me setting plans and him feeling like, okay, I had this job, so this is what I have to do, and she's got her stuff that she's gonna do. And I think that it was just a lot. And I think that also I want to talk about IVF. And I know like we've talked about it extensively on a million things, but I think IVF made us, we were always like really structured people. Let me bring it back. Okay. So we both went to college, finished college, out of college, got jobs, then got better jobs. I got a master's, um, and got jobs and hustled really hard. And then I went back to school and I got a better job. And Nick was, climbing up his little corporate ladder, and he, kept getting better and better jobs. And then infertility happened, and almost immediately, we knew Nick was the issue. He got tested, I got tested, everything was fine. I said, hey, maybe you should go get tested. He got tested, everything was not fine. And almost immediately, like, everything started crashing down around him. So 2020 was really hard on him, and he left his job again to go like pursue like a dream, and making less money, which was totally fine because then I had gotten a better job making more money, so it just all kind of like evened out. And when that happened, I think we both like completely loosened the reins, like way too much. Like we like were like very driven. We had two houses at that point. We had bought two houses, two rental properties, and we just kind of were like, we needed a break. We needed a way out. And like the more we got into IVF, the more stress there was, not on us and our relationship. Like our relationship was really strong and everything like between us was strong, but I think like everything around us had become so stressful that we just needed to like pause. And so when we moved to Texas, to Austin, we said it was going to be a reset, and we needed a reset because of IVF. And we got here, and we were starting a company. He was starting a company, I was helping, and we didn't have like that hustle mindset that we had. And we both just kind of like chilled. We sold one of the houses to come here, which was a great move, I think, because we needed to do this. And that was the whole reason to have the house. But we didn't do with that time what we should have done. And like, had we known we would have gotten pregnant, I think we would have hustled a little harder. But we both needed like that reset, and we needed to like have a little bit of calm, have a little bit of, it was just a lot like for 3 years. And so we needed that time to just kind of like completely disengage from like everything that happened and rediscover like who we were as people, and without like all this trauma around like egg retrievals and disappointment like around every single corner. And so we did, and we really leaned into that, and we really had a lot of fun. And then we got pregnant, and we did a transfer. So we knew that pregnancy was an option, but there was only a 60% chance, right? So even though we knew pregnancy was an option, like we didn't know that it was really going to happen for us, because at every single turn, basically everything was tragic. And even though like all our tests said we should have gotten, one result, we always got like the worst case scenario. And so we just didn't expect transfer to work, as I've explained multiple times on the podcast. But because of that, like our ducks weren't in a row. And like, even though we were trying for 3 years, like we were in an apartment that we weren't planning on having a kid in. When we originally came to Austin, we looked at a 3-bedroom apartment, and we, had a plan of having a kid in this specific apartment. But then when we actually moved, like I switched up where I wanted to be. And I think that ended up working out because Nick loves the community that we're in. But it just wasn't the plan. And so I think that that kind of rocked us. Like we reset, and then we were like, okay, like we're going to be like a happy married couple, just kind of like hanging out. I needed to know, like, to move forward with my life, that this wasn't going to work. And so we did the transfer thinking it wasn't going to work, and it did work. And thank God, like I love Cala, but then we were here, man, we didn't have jobs. And then we didn't really have a plan, and we didn't sit and discuss a plan. I think that what happened was I knew that we weren't in the best position, but my brain couldn't process it at the time because I just needed to get through the pregnancy. There was so much fear around the pregnancy, around everything. I had mentioned before I had a cancer scare during pregnancy, and that was a whole other thing. And so like I was just kind of like trusting Nick to get us through it. And he was still dealing with everything that he was dealing with before, and still trying to like reconvene and all of that. And I wasn't asking him what the plan was, and I wasn't really pushing him, I guess, the way I am now. And so it was a mess, basically. And then I was going on interviews when I was, so there was like so much trauma from IVF. There was so much trauma from just like everything. And then when we got pregnant, we hadn't fully dealt with all the trauma. And so, again, I put up like a wall, and I don't think I ever really dealt with that trauma. And then we got pregnant, put up a wall, and we had her. And then I had a lot of PPA. There was a lot going on, and I started addressing things to Nick, like, hey, I don't think we're going to be able to make this work. And we've done therapy before, and we've, gone through things. And I know that he has like a really big like denial problem. Like when something's an issue, like he will just deny. And so he was kind of denying and kicking the can down the road, kicking the can down the road. But I was so deep in postpartum that I wasn't able to have like a true conversation. Like he knew like my hormones were crazy, and I just wasn't able to like really like make a plan and be like, this is what we're going to do. So then one night, probably around 6 months, Calla being 6 months, I was like, hey, this is the plan. We're going to move back to New Jersey, and we're both going to get jobs, and everything's going to be okay. And we're going to do this, this, and this. And he's like, okay. And then there was just like peace. Like, I think like he had peace that I had come up with a plan. I had taken the reins, that I was the adult. And then we just kind of like went from there. But also, where was I going with this? We had so much peace, I think, because we're going to raise her own family. And that's what I think we always wanted. And I don't think we thought about that when we moved. Like, I don't think we thought like having a kid was an option anymore. I think we were just trying to get through all of our trauma and all of our hurt. And so when we moved, like, we weren't like, oh, we might have a kid there. And we just weren't prepared for it, basically. So we're actually like really excited about moving. Like like I said, we're at such peace, and we've just been like talking about all the things we're excited about. And obviously we're going to miss Texas. And after the initial, like, oh my God, like we're really going to miss it here and all the people and everything. We're actually really excited. And we're talking about Calla growing up with her cousins and her aunts and her uncles and her grandparents all around. And that's just going to be so fun. And I might not have to put her in activities because she's just going to be so socialized from family, which is going to be great. But also, like, I grew up where half my family was in Brazil and half of it was here. And it was tough because I felt like no matter where I was, like I was always missing someone. And so I just didn't want that for her. So I think that it's going to be great that she's not really going to have to experience that. And I think that's the end of our episode for today because she's waking up. I know that it's a short episode and it's a solo episode, even though I promised Nick would be on it. At some point, he will be on it. But that's all I have for today. I just wanted to really go into depth about the move, why we're moving, and what that's going to look like. And now I'm going to go get Kala. So have a great week. I'll see you on Monday on our live. And next week, we're going to have ADHD with Emily on. I cannot wait for that episode. It's going to be so good. So see you next Thursday.